Evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're honoured to be together to celebrate you for World Teachers Day this week, and I hope that everyone is ready to do something together today that is fun, interesting, and gives us a welcome opportunity to see a different part of the world, as I'm sure we're all really hanging out to explore in person soon. My name is Stephanie, and I work in the marketing team at WorldStrides. And just a couple of things just before we get started. You're all on mute at the moment, so if you could remain muted during the meeting and direct any of your questions to the chat, and I'll read them out as we move along the tour. Okay, so I'd like to introduce our presenter, Eleonora Agostini, who will be guiding us today. Eleonora is a WorldStrides tour director from the Tuscan town of Prato. She earned a degree in art history in Florence and began her career as a young guide there too, discovering a passion for travel and sharing the history and heritage of places all over the world. Eleonora believes in WorldStrides LEAP philosophy as the best way to explore a new place because it focuses on interaction and participation. With that said, I'll stop sharing my screen and pass you on to Eleonora.
Hi. Oh, hi. Hello, everybody. So this is me. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Buongiorno. Buongiorno, everybody. So welcome to Italy and welcome to San Gimignano and welcome to Fattoria Poggioalloro, which is Poggioalloro farmhouse. So as Stephanie said, my name is Eleonora and I'm a tour director. I've been working for WorldStrides for many years. And honestly, during the Italian trips, when we come to Tuscany and we go to San Gimignano, and then we come for lunch at Poggioalloro, it's one of my favorite days. It's one of my favorite activities. Food is amazing. People are wonderful and the location is fantastic and views are great. So talking about views, I wish I could see your faces, but since I cannot, at least I want you to look at the view that I'm looking at, which is this one here, which is the view that you have from the Poggioalloro farmhouse where we have lunch. So this is one of the best views of Tuscany. So you are in the heart of Italy, because Tuscany is more or less in the center of Italy. And you are in the heart of Tuscany as well, because this is the area of San Gimignano, which is more or less in the center of Tuscany. And San Gimignano is actually the little town that you see on top of the hill. So San Gimignano is a very famous city. This looks like a postcard. So it's very iconic. It's one of the most famous images of Tuscany and of Italy. So San Gimignano, maybe from home, even from Australia, you can see that it looks like a medieval town. So with all these towers, watchtowers, and there is a fortified medieval little city, which is like frozen in time. It's compared to Manhattan. So it's called the medieval Manhattan because of those watchtowers that look like skyscrapers and was maybe as rich as Manhattan in the Middle Ages. So usually I ask my students to close their eyes. So I would like to do the same with you. Please, even if I cannot see you, close your eyes and jump in a time machine. And now travel back in time and open your eyes. Imagine we are in the 1200s, which is actually the Middle Ages, which is also the golden century for San Gimignano. 12 and 1300s were the golden centuries for the little tiny town of San Gimignano. So in the Middle Ages, actually in the 1200s, San Gimignano was a little powerful city state, a little country. So independent from the rest of the world. And his wealth was due to his geographical position, because actually in the middle of San Gimignano, there is a very important street, like a highway that goes up to Northern Europe and down to Southern Italy. So San Gimignano is crossed by this medieval highway, reason why lots of merchants and pilgrims used to stop in San Gimignano for the night, used to buy food, used to buy goods and sell stuff as well. So San Gimignano became like a business center, a trade center in the middle of Tuscany, reason why, as a consequence, the city was enriched with beautiful public and private buildings. So, for example, those towers are the private properties, are like houses, homes of the richest people of San Gimignano. So the tallest were owned by the richest families. There was obviously a competition between them. And also you have public buildings, so you cannot see from here, but actually there are beautiful churches, the municipality and the city walls. The city walls for protection, because as I mentioned at the beginning of this visit, San Gimignano was independent from the rest of the world, was a little city-state. And that was unfortunately only until the 15th century, when it was finally conquered by Florence, Firenze. So San Gimignano lost its independence, reason why it's still frozen in the Middle Ages, in its golden age. So on a typical day, we go to San Gimignano, we spend a couple of hours there, we stroll around, we have gelato, because they pretend to have the best gelato in the world. And then we come to Poggioalloro farmhouse for a lovely, beautiful lunch with this beautiful view. I wish we could have lunch together, but of dinner, since it's almost time for dinner in Australia. But actually, at least we can have a wonderful guided tour with our Marta, and I'm gonna introduce you to Marta. So, ready for Marta? So here she is.
Here we are.
So
Hi.
enjoy your visit.
Hi, hello, welcome everybody to Fattoria Poggioalloro. So I'm going to do a little tour of the farm, so I can show you a little bit more about our property, our culture, our concept, and I'm going to tell and inform you about all the organic products that we have. So first of all, I would like to say that we are an organic farm. So this means that we cannot use any pesticides, no chemical products. So the only things that we are allowed to use are sulfur and copper. And of course, only in a certain amount that we're allowed to use them. But we are also a family business, because you have to know that the owners are three brothers called Fioroni. They are not from here. They are from the Marche region, and they arrived here in 1955, so after the Second World War, as sharecroppers. So, you know, after the Second World War, the war conditions, they were very, very bad. So they were kind of forced to move from the homeland to here in order to find better work conditions. So they found this place. So they found the farm, and they started to work for the owners of the farm as sharecroppers. Then in the 70s, they managed to purchase a property. And right now, at the moment, they have almost 200 hectares of land. So we have, of course, vineyards. So the wine production is our main production. We have olive trees. We grow different type of grains that we use to produce our own organic pasta. We grow the saffron. I was just saying before that we are about to start with a saffron harvest. Normally is in November. So we have to wait a few days or weeks. And then we have right now just started with the olives harvest. And then we also have different animals, because we are, of course, a farm. And we have the Chianina cows. So the Chianina cattle is a typical breed of this area that I'm going to show you during the tour. And then we have pigs, we have chickens, we have rabbits, and into the wood close by here, we have also the bees for the honey production. So if you don't mind, since it's our walking tour, I will start to walk a little bit. And so as I was saying before, when the family arrived, they already had some vineyards, the olive trees, so they just continued with the production they had, of course, improving them by the time. And one of the questions that lots of people ask me is that why you are organic? So, because nowadays organic is becoming more and more common, but has been always organic, because if you think that in the past, farmers didn't have pesticides or chemical products to prevent parasites or any disease. So it was only like a natural event. So they just started with these elements and they just continued. Then in the 90s, we got the certification, because if you want to produce and resell these kinds of products, we need a certification. In the 90s, as I was saying before, we got this certification. So we always have people coming here at the farm to check that all these in order to put on the label of all our products the term biologico, that in Italian means organic. And so the main production is a wine. So we have about 50 hectares of land on which we grow different type of grape. Since we are in San Gimignano, of course, we produce the Vernaccia di San Gimignano, which is a typical white wine from this area. And it is one of the most famous white wine that we have in here, even if as area, we are so close to the Chianti area. So we also produce a Chianti red wine, and then we grow some different type of grapes. Some of them, as for example, the Vernaccia, the Colorino, Canaiolo, Ciliegio. So these are all varieties typical from here, but we grow also some international grapes. We grow, for example, the Chardonnay, we have the Merlot, we have the Cabernet, Pinot Noir. So we have 14 different type of wines in total. Now we have just got a special limited edition. So we just got 3 new wines. One is the Pinot Noir. The first time that we produced this wine using only Pinot Noir, so 100% Pinot Noir. Then we got another wine, which is a white wine, the Trebbiano. These are new ideas that we got also in collaboration with some local artists for the label. So there is a very big project behind these ideas. And we got this idea because we want to bring new ideas, but with like traditional grapes that we have. The Pinot Noir, of course, you can find anywhere in the world, but the Trebbiano, which is the other wine that we have with this special edition, is a typical grape that we have in this area, but which is mainly used with other type of grapes. So it's always been used as a blend. I'm sorry, there is a tractor coming here, but we are working fast. You can just hold that. Yeah, we had just started with the olive harvest. And so this is another wine that we have for this special limited edition. And the third one is called Anna, as the daughter of our winemaker born during the harvest. So it was made for this special occasion, and is a spumante. So it's a sparkling wine produced from Pinot Noir, but with the ancestral method, which is the method that it was used in the past to produce the champagne. So even in this case, we have something from the past, but just do it again nowadays to give more sense and a special meaning to these new wines. So we're just walking down to the hill, and we had just arrived in front of the wine cellar. We have finished with the harvest a few weeks ago, and that's basically the place where we bring all the grapes. We normally start with the harvest in late August. So we normally start with the white grapes first, and then we go ahead with the red grapes. So basically, when we bring all the grapes in here, we have different machines. And I'm very sorry again for the noise. I know. And so first of all, we have to divide the stalk, so the wooden part from the grapes, which are pressed. And then the juice that we get from the press is put inside the stainless steel vessel. Come a little bit closer. So over here you have the wine cellar, where we have the first part of the entire fermentation. So as I was saying before, we have the press, and then the juice that we get from the press is put inside the stainless steel vat that you have in front of you at a controlled temperatures. And in here we have the fermentation, which is basically the transformation of the sugar that we have in the grapes in alcohol by means of the yeast. So after this process, we can start to talk about wine and not juice anymore. And in the stainless steel vats, we have our main production, which is around the 80% of our production. So in here, we have the wine that from the harvest will be ready just in a few months. So let's say around March, April, May, we are ready to bottle the wine. 20% of our production is composed by what we call the aged wine. So the wine that we put inside the barrels. Not sure if we get enough connection inside to see the barrels. Let's try. Over here, where you see the type of wine that we have inside. So this means that the wine that we have in here will be the Vernaccia di San Gimignano. Selezione means a selection. The Nicchiaio is the name of the wine. And 2021 is the harvest, the year of the harvest. So that's what we got this year from the harvest a few weeks ago. And as I was saying before, the other 20% of our production is the aged wine. So we have only a few of the wines that we produce, which are put inside the barrels for the aging. So we age the Chianti and the Vernaccia di San Gimignano. And then we age both the Cabernet and also the Merlot. And another red wine with typical red grapes of this area. All these wines are aged for 1 year, except for the Chianti Reserve, which is aged for 2 years. So it is a more full-bodied red wine. And so we have so many different types of wines. So we have in total 14. So we have 6 red wines. The Chianti is our best seller because it's the most like is the red wine that all people know from this area that we have close by here. But we produce, as I was saying before, something more international like the Merlot, the Cabernet. And then as a white wines, we have the Vernaccia di San Gimignano, for which we produce the classic one, the selection that we saw before into the stainless steel vats, and the Reserve, which is aged for 1 year. And then we have another white wine, which is a blend. We produce one rosé, and we have 2 different types of sparkling white wine. One is produced using the metodo classico, which is a method that is normally used to produce the champagne. And the other one is produced using the metodo charmata, which is more similar to the Prosecco, just to give you an idea. And we also have, since we're in Tuscany, we produce the Vinsanto. I don't know if you know this sweet wine, but it is a very common wine that we have here in Tuscany. And it's a dessert wine. So it has a different process because the grapes after the harvest are left dry. So in this case, they lose the water inside, but in this case, the sugar content will raise. Then we have the press, we have the fermentation, and then it's left to age for 5 years in the barrique, getting in this way an alcohol content just a little bit higher than the normal wines. Of course, it cannot be considered a liquor, but it has an alcohol content around 16 and 50. So it's of course higher than the normal wines, and is used as a dessert wine at the end of a meal. And here in Tuscany, we have a tradition to drink this wine with the cantuccini. So the typical almond cookies that we use to dip inside the Vinsanto as a dessert. So now, if you want just to follow me in this direction, I would like to show you also some of the vineyards. Now is one of the best period of the year because the vineyards are just changing all their colors. So if you have a look at the vineyard in September during the harvest, they are all green and ready for the harvest. So with the red and white grapes, And now, since the harvest is just finished, they're just starting to change their color. As you can see, we have red, we have yellow, orange, all these warm color that characterize the autumn season that we have here in Tuscany. So it's full of colors in our fields, and it's a very, very nice landscape now. And the vineyard down here that we have is the vineyard where we grow the Sangiovese. The Sangiovese with the Vernaccia, these are the two typical grapes that we grow here in this area. The Vernaccia is the white grape that I told you before that we use for the Vernaccia white wine production. And the Sangiovese is the red grape that we had to use if you want to produce the Chianti, because we have strict rules that we have to follow to produce certain type of wines. So in this case, if we want to call our wine Chianti, we have to use at least the 80% of these varieties. Otherwise, cannot be named like a Chianti. And now, unfortunately, is not the right time of the year. But probably you have seen into the vineyards artichoke and roses just at the end of each row. It's very common to find these plants into the vineyard because they are like a natural alert. I mean, they can inform the farmer that the vineyard is about to be attacked by parasites, such as, let's say, mildew, for example. So in this way, the farmer has time enough to take precautions against this problem before the real damage sets in, because these plants attract parasites before attacking the vine. So they're very useful for us. And in order to prevent parasites, we use to spray copper. That gives a typical blue color that you can often see on the vines, on the olive trees, lemon trees, and so on. And now we just go ahead in this direction, because just a few meters away from here, we have the barn. I was saying before that we are a farm, and as a farm, we have also some animals. And the house that we have, the name is Chianina. I just say again, I'm sorry for the mess over here, but we have our workers pretty busy with the harvest harvest. Maybe when we come back, yeah, we have all the tractors, and inside there are all the olives picked up just today. So maybe after we can have a quick look before we bring all the olives to the press, to the mill for the press. So, yes, regarding the cows, we have these cows. Actually, they were here even when they arrived, because the cows, this type of breed is particularly big and strong. And in the past, they were widely used to work the fields instead of the tractors. So the farmer had to put a yoke on the back, and then just by walking they work the fields. After, of course, when we got the tractors, everything changed, and but we still have these cows here at the farm. And the name is Chianina. So, as I was saying before, that's a typical breed of this area, because the name Chianina comes from the Val di Chiana, which is a valley south of Siena. This is also one of the oldest breeds in the world that exists since the Roman age. As you can see, they are all white. So that's the typical color of this breed. But when they are born, they are light brown. And in a couple of 3 months, then they will turn into the white color of the Chianina breed. Our cows usually stay outside almost all day long, so they can pasture freely, stay in our fields. And then twice a day, we feed them with our organic hay and with the flowers that we make using and mixing different types of grains that we grow here at the farm. The Chianina cattle is particularly famous for the meat production, not for the milk, because they have a very, very few liters of milk, so just enough for their own babies. And Bernardo is the youngest of the three brothers. Then we have all the other generation working here, but he used to take care of the cows, and he used to name each of them with a different name, and he can recognize them. And I was here a couple of weeks ago. I was just finishing with my job, closing the restaurant that we have. And then he called me back because I saw a light inside the barn. So I thought maybe there is something going on. And we just got a baby, and he told me that he wasn't sure if it was a he or she. So since they give them each year, they have a letter that they have to use to name the cows. And this year is with the N. So the two names were Naso or Nina. And then he was a he, so we got a Naso. That means actual nose. So I don't know. It is what it is, but it's very funny because he always remember each of them, and used to come here every day, in the morning, the evening, at night. So they are very nice owners. So if you want to have a look a little bit closer, here we are. And of course, also the compost it is used for our fields. So as I was saying before, all organic, all that's produced in the farm is always reused for what we can do. We have, for example, also some from the branches of certain trees that we have here at the farm. We use to tie the vines. So everything that we have over here and that can be used, of course, is always reused in an organic way to help the production that we have here at the farm. So on the way back, we were just talking about the olives that we saw before. And here we had just some of the olive trees. So we have a total of 3,000 olive trees at the farm with 3 different varieties. We have the Moraiano, the Lecchino, and Frantoiano, which are the typical varieties that we have here in Tuscany. That's the period of the harvest. As you can see here, we still have the olives growing on the branches. At the very beginning of the year, we have the pruning. So we cut what we call the head. So as you can see, the branches on the top. And then we just leave the branches at the edge. So in this way, all the nutrition that comes from the suns and everything can go through to the tree. And yes, and now we are during the period of the harvest. So we used to spread like some green net on the ground under the tree, and then we start to pick the olive, shaking a little bit the branches. So in this way, all the olives fall down to the cloth, and then at the end of each day, we collect all the olives that we have, and we bring the olives to the mill. Because for the grapes, we always have our press here at the farm. But for the olives, we had to bring all the olives to the mill, while we got the press for the extra virgin olive oil. So the olive oil that we produce, as I was saying before, is called extra virgin olive oil. That means that this is the olive oil that we get from the first press of the olives. Because after the first press, we can extract more olive oil in order to have virgin olive oil. And actually, we can also go ahead. Of course, the extra virgin olive oil, so the first press, is the best quality. Then with the second and the third press, the cows want to say hello to you. See, here we have Giancarlo, one of the owners of the farm, coming through. Hello. And then, so the first press, so the extra virgin olive oil is always the best quality of the olive oil that you can have. Then with the second and the third press, of course, you get more quantity, more olive oil, but the quality cannot be the same. And to be an extra virgin olive oil, we need a cold press Otherwise, hot temperatures can change both color and taste of the olive oil, and the acidity has to be less than 0.8%. So these are two very important information to know about the extra virgin olive oil production. So here we are just in front of one of the tractors where they just put the first olives of the day that we have picked. As you can see, I don't know if you can see something, okay. We don't separate the different varieties. We just put everything together. And then from here, as I was saying before, they are ready to bring to the mill for the press and to get the new, what as we say here, the olio nuovo, or novo, as we say in Tuscany, which is a new olive oil, which is so tasty, sometimes also spicy. The very first one that we get is so green and spicy that you can enjoy so much with our bruschetta. So a very simple slice of bread that you can just grill a little bit with just garlic, salt, and our extra virgin olive oil. That's one of the best appetizer or snack that we can do here during this period. And I was saying before that November is the period of the saffron harvest. So for the saffron, we have to wait a bit, but usually from the first days of November, it depends, each year is different according to the weather, of course. But anyway, in the next few days or weeks, we should expect to see in our fields the flower of the saffron, which is a beautiful violet flower that we have to pick early in the morning. So every morning we see new flowers that we have to pick very early in the morning, because the risk is, since the harvest is in November, which is considered a rainy season, so the water always can damage the flowers. And in this case, after, if you don't pick in the morning, little by little, the flower can just open. And in this way, the water or even the wind and everything can damage the stigmas which are inside, which is a saffron that we normally use to cook. So we had to pick the flower when it is closed. And then we have a family tradition. So we bring all the saffron to the house. Usually we have the oldest generation with the new generation, children and family, and also helpers and friends and workers helping the family. So we just spread all these flowers on the tables so they can dry a little bit, and then staying together, share these moments together. We just start to clean the flowers. That means open each flower, remove the stigmas inside, which are left to dry for 1 day. So maybe you know that the saffron is a very expensive spice, but just to give you an idea, so to have only 1 gram of saffron, which is not that much, actually, it is just a little jar, we need around 300, 350 flowers. So it requires a lot to work. And you have also to consider that everything it's handmade. So now you can understand why this spice is so expensive. And if you want, we can also have a quick look to the garden, because we also have, mainly for the restaurant, because it is not a big production as we do with the wine, extra virgin olive oil and so on. So it's this is the orto di Amico. Amico is one of the 3 brothers. Now we are just at the end of the season, so we have a very few vegetables over here. So different type of salads, tomatoes. Over there we have leeks, cabbage, and even in this case is all organic. And then during the winter season, we also have the greenhouse, of course, because of the temperature. So mainly these products are mainly used for the restaurants. So because as a restaurant, we are open to everybody here. And so we use for lunch, dinner, and as a small production, we are not able to resell these products. For example, we also have the chicken, so the eggs are not enough to resell, but all these products are always used in our restaurant. And so now we are just at the end of the tour. I was looking because there is Amico, one of the owners. Let's see if we can hear me, so he can say hello to all of you. Amico, buongiorno. Voglio far salutare, siamo in collegamento con l'Australia.
Ah.
He's Amico, so he's here because he used to take care of the garden, and he's one of the 3 brothers. Quanti anni hai ora? 80?
86.
He's 86 and is still working very hard every day. Lo dici buongiorno, anzi là è buonasera perché sono le 7 di sera.
Buonasera.
Eri nell'orto?
Sì, ero a mangiare qualche cosa.
Non si sta mai fermi, vero?
Mai. Non si ferma è perduto.
He always wants to do something, so all day long he needs to find something to do, and it was the old mentality. So even if he 86, he always have to do something here.
Come va in questa pandemia in Australia?
Non lo so.
Stanno bene?
Spero di sì, spero che si sia a un buon punto. Vi aspettiamo qua in Italia. Quando riaprono tutto vi aspettiamo qua.
Speriamo che lo faccia presto. Però sento un pochettino che non sono problemi.
Speriamo di no, dai.
Perché ho visto a Londra.
Dicono, it's so nice to meet one of the owners.
Ah, detto sono contenti di aver conosciuto e incontrato uno dei proprietari della fattoria.
Grazie.
Grazie amico, buona giornata.
Ciao.
He was just asking how the situation in Australia is, because we are waiting for you here back in Italy. So he asked me, but I didn't know. Anyway, just going back over here in the main building, we have also, as I was saying before, the restaurant, but in the 90s, they also started with the agriturismo experience. So they basically rebuilt everything in here, because before we saw the barn with the cows, but actually the door that you see over there, which is actually the entrance of the restaurant, that was the entrance of the barn, because in the past, the farmer used to live in the same because they didn't have any heater. So it was also a way to warm up the upstairs floor where the owners lived. So it was very common to have the animals very close or into the same building where the owners lived. So they rebuilt everything. So they got 2 dining rooms for the restaurant, the reception for the agriturismo buildings, where in the past they used to keep, for example, the pigs over here and the other animals such as rabbits, chickens, and so on. They rebuilt, and they had 6 double rooms over here and other 5 into the other building. So we are now a B&B. So very simple as our mentality and culture. So people can just stay here with us, enjoy our food, our wines, see the family working every day, enjoy, of course, the landscape, and experience what the farm life actually means. Okay. So now we are just at the end of the tour. So if some of you have any questions, I will be happy to answer to all of you. Maybe we go back when we started the tour, so you can enjoy a little bit more the view, and maybe we also have a better connection.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat.
Oh, chat. Just put. I have stayed. Yeah. I had.
How many cows do you have?
We have about 50 cows, more or less, and we used to keep the number, of course, always the same numbers of cows. No more questions?
Yes, I have stayed at Fattoria Poggioalloro. Is your farm near this place?
It's not that far. Actually, I think it's only 10 minutes driving from here. So it's not that far. It's very close.
Oh. It was very beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So if you don't have any other question, is there, so we're here.
Thank you for the chance and the opportunity of sharing our farm and our culture with you. And we hope actually as a farm to have you here one day, so you can also enjoy our wines, the landscape and everything with us. Thank you so much.
And thank you again. And I'm looking forward to meeting with you soon here in Tuscany. So,
thank you so much to the both of you. That was really fantastic. And I want to thank you on behalf of WorldStrides and all the teachers who joined us today for sharing this with us. It was absolutely beautiful, and I wish we could share a glass of wine or something. But next time.
Next time, yes.
We'll do that in person. So teachers, I just want to remind you that we have more World Teachers Day events happening tomorrow and Friday. So if you haven't signed up, you still have time, and keep an eye out for an email next week that will include a link to this recording. Ladies, thank you so much again for your time today, and I hope everyone has a lovely evening.
thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.